It is the ACC versus the Power 5 right here on Mark Rogers TV. We love to rank the conferences. We typically do it every off season when the games are complete, including the bowl games, of course, and the most important games in the college football playoff. But it's fun to do anytime, and especially when we've got most of the non-conference games already played, especially for the conferences like the Big Ten and the SEC. Now, the ACC, since they play the 4 games against the SEC at the end of the year and still have the 5 against Notre Dame, there's still much to be decided. The Pac-12 with a number of games against Notre Dame as well. Still, the ACC at this point with about 75% of the games completed out of conference, 6-5 against the Power 5. Much better than the Big 12. Check out our Big 12 segment. We rated the Big 12 right now. By far, not close, no doubt, no debate, the worst conference in the Power 5. The ACC comes in next. They're number 4, 23-9 against everybody non-conference, 6-5 against the Power 5. Okay, the big games. Florida State comes back and defeats Ole Miss. Ole Miss, despite 2 losses right now, they're one of the 15 best teams in the country. That might be the best win for the ACC, despite Ole Miss being 1-2. Florida State beat them by 11. Neutral site. Clemson over Auburn, decent win. The Tigers are not, Auburn Tigers, not a very good team by SEC standards, but it's still SEC talent. Clemson wins on the road. Not impressively, but they win on the road. Pitt over Penn State, good win for the ACC here. Penn State mid-level, Big Ten, maybe slightly above that, but still probably going to go about 7-5 to 8-4 this year. Pitt should win that game, but if you look at big picture, look at the programs, look at the traditions, that's a big win for Pitt in the ACC, defeating Penn State. Pitt went to Oklahoma State. They lost there. Not a big deal. Oklahoma State probably will vie for the conference championship. Pitt will not. Not a bad loss for the ACC right there. Also not a bad loss. North Carolina, Georgia. It was a competitive game. It went down to the wire. North Carolina actually had a 10-point lead in the game. But considering the status of the 2 teams, we'll see how it plays out with Georgia taking on Tennessee and Florida. North Carolina probably a better team in ranking in the ACC versus Georgia. North Carolina most likely the 4th best team in the ACC behind Louisville, Clemson, Florida State. Georgia probably not that highly seeded in the SEC when it's all said and done. Still not a bad loss. Certainly losing to Georgia, no shame there. Tennessee, Virginia Tech, pretty much what we expected. The Hokies should have played more competitively, getting blown out in the second half. North Carolina is supposed to beat Illinois. Illinois just lost to Central Michigan. They're one of the worst teams in the Big Ten. Big loss for the ACC here. Duke Northwestern, we put those programs pretty much on the same level. Northwestern coming off 2 FCS losses, beats Duke by 11 points. Bad losses. There's a number of them. North Carolina State loses to East Carolina. Yes, the Wolfpack, the Pirates are comparable, but it's a Power 5 losing to a Group of 5 school. Richmond over Virginia, and the Cavaliers are going to weigh down the ACC here. UConn defeats Virginia. Again, the Cavaliers were actually the underdog in this game, so that wouldn't consider it to be a bad loss, but it's a bad loss when you lose to the American, a mid-level American, when you're in the ACC. And again, no surprise here because they were a 2-touchdown underdog. Syracuse loses to South Florida. Still not a game that an ACC school should lose on a regular basis. Still a ton of football to be played here in rating this conference, not even counting postseason play. You got the 5 Notre Dame games against Virginia Tech, North Carolina State, Miami, Duke, and Syracuse. My guess is that the Irish go at least 4-1. Notre Dame's 1-2 out of the college football playoff. It's still a quality team, one of the top 15 or 20 teams in the nation, not in terms of ranking, but in terms of quality of play. They are one of the 15 or 20 best teams in the country. Miami's got the shot against Notre Dame. The others probably don't have a great shot, maybe a 25 to 30% shot if you're talking Virginia Tech, Duke, and NC State in particular. Then, of course, the final weekend, ACC versus SEC. That means Georgia Tech takes on Georgia, Louisville, Kentucky. That should be an auto win. And, of course, Florida State and the like against the SEC. So still a lot to be determined here. But right now, the ACC, a pretty solid number 4 at 23-9, 6-5 against the Power 5. Would love to hear what you have to say about these non-conference games, what they mean, That's all we have to base it on in regards to comparing these conferences, thus comparing the college football playoff contenders. Let's talk it up right here on Mark Rogers TV.